Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
Thank you so much. I am really honored to be speaking with you all today. My name is Joy Turner, and I'm an attorney with the Oklahoma Disability Law Center. I am currently the Director of Investigation and Monitoring, and I have been with the Law Center since October of 2000. The Law Center is the federally funded protection and advocacy agency, or what is known more commonly as the P&A, for individuals with disabilities in Oklahoma. There is a protection and advocacy agency in all 50 states and territories. Our mission is to protect, promote, and expand the rights of individuals with disabilities in Oklahoma. I graduated from the Oklahoma City University School of Law in 1999. I'm a member of the Oklahoma Bar Association, and I am licensed to practice before the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, the federal district courts for the Western and the Northern districts of Oklahoma. My topic this afternoon is why mentorship matters. I will specifically be talking about mentorship in the workplace. Here are 3 points I hope that you take away from my presentation today. Number 1, who you choose to be a mentor matters. Number 2, how you mentor matters. And number 3, effective mentorship is critical to employee satisfaction and productivity. We are going to start today by looking at a mentorship example in the movies. You might be asking yourself, why are we looking at a movie? I think it's the perfect place to start. I believe it's important that we actually have a visual picture in our minds of the very real impact mentorship can have on another person. Today, we're going to look at The Karate Kid. It's a movie which came out in 1984. I was in my early teens when this movie came out, and to this day, it is one of my very favorite movies. I'm going to give you all just a few seconds to respond in the chat window, whether you have seen The Karate Kid or not. So you can just put yes or no. I'd kind of like to just gauge to see how many people have actually seen the movie. Okay, great. Several times, many yeses. I was hopeful that most people would remember that. So I'm going to go over just some key scenes in the movies as it relates to mentorship. So you all can, since you've seen it, you all can visualize this in your head as I'm talking about it. At the beginning of the movie, Daniel, the Karate Kid, and his mother are moving from New Jersey to Southern California, where Daniel meets Mr. Miyagi, who's the maintenance man in the apartment complex. While attending a party one evening at the beach, Daniel meets a girl. I think that's how all the 80s movies started, as someone meets a girl and then just goes from there. So Daniel meets a girl named Allie. When Allie's ex-boyfriend, Johnny, later arrives on scene, he is enraged when he sees Allie and Daniel talking. He proceeds to instigate a fight with Daniel using karate. Daniel is left with his face literally in the sand and all the boys there making fun of him and his karate knowledge. After that, Daniel is mercilessly bullied by Johnny and his friends. At one point, he has to be rescued from a beating from Johnny and his friends by Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi fends off the boys using karate, both surprising and humiliating them. I'm sure you all can just see these scenes playing in your head. So Mr. Miyagi tells Daniel after that karate is for defense only. And Daniel explains that is not how Johnny and his friends were taught. Mr. Miyagi replies with a comment, "No such thing as bad student, only bad teacher." Now, I'm not exactly certain that's always accurate, but what it does remind us is how important it is to be a good teacher. If we do not mentor or teach well, our students are unlikely to learn any good skills. After that, Daniel continues to plead with Mr. Miyagi to teach him karate. Mr. Miyagi refuses at first until he goes to see Johnny's karate instructor, whose motto is, as you all know, is no mercy. So Mr. Miyagi finally relents and offers to train Daniel in karate and to prepare him for an upcoming karate contest. Mr. Miyagi puts Daniel to work doing things as waxing his cards. We all remember wax on, wax off, and painting his fence in his house and other similar tasks. Daniel gets so frustrated with Mr. Miyagi in the movie and accuses him of making him do all the work around the house that Mr. Miyagi does not want to do. What he didn't understand is that he was learning the skills necessary to be good at karate, not just doing busy work. So a takeaway from that scene is it is just as important to explain the why behind the skill that you are teaching as it is the skill that you are actually teaching. Mr. Miyagi later takes Daniel out on a kayak, and makes Daniel stand by on the bow of the boat, telling him, better learn balance. Balance is key. Balance had a double meaning in the story, and it has a double meaning for us as well. That means that in the story that Daniel needed balance to stand up and not fall, but it also meant that he needed balance in his life or else his life would become unstable. This, again, is a very important for us and what we need to teach our students as well. Mr. Miyagi's training goes far beyond just teaching karate. During the movie, he teaches Daniel many other life important lessons, such as you trust the quality of what you know, not the quantity of what you know. This is another important lesson that we can learn from this movie. It's important for both mentors as they're teaching and their students to know that what matters is really how deep you know something and how confident you are in what you know, not how many things that you know. So why was mentorship so important to Daniel in this movie? It changed his life. Any of you that have seen the movie know that. Mr. Miyagi was a great mentor. He protected Daniel, one of the things mentors are supposed to do. He taught him skills and life lessons that enabled him to be confident in himself and trust his knowledge of karate. Of course, which also led him to winning the karate contest. So what exactly is mentorship? It is defined by the Webster's Dictionary as a trusted counselor, guide, tutor, or coach. Mentorship gone wrong. The power of life and death is in the tongue. My story. I put this quote in from Proverbs 18:21 to remind us just how powerful our words are. We as mentors have the power to build up a person or to crush them with our words. We must always be mindful of this. So I want to share my story with you and how what I went through made me so passionate about the importance of good mentorship, especially in the workplace. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the Director of Investigation and Monitoring. I have held a leadership position in our office for the past 7 years. This is my 23rd year working for the Law Center. When I first hired onto this job, I had only been out of law school for maybe about a year. Mentorship is the traditional way young lawyers learn about the practice of law. Law school does very little to teach you actually how to be a lawyer. Because of this, any new lawyer going into a firm has to learn these skills from more experienced lawyers. Law clerks and experienced paralegals often also provide a lot of insight into the day-to-day work of new lawyers. I was hired by an attorney who was one of only about 5 women in her law school class. When I went to law school, women made up 50% of our class. My boss was a pioneer for women in the law in my eyes, and I was so excited to be working for her. I respected her and I cared for her deeply as a person. I worked under her direct supervision for 16 years. What I did not realize that was happening to me during those years, until after she was no longer my boss, was it was not a good work environment. I now know what happened during those years was not healthy emotionally and did not contribute to my professional growth in some very key areas. What happened was a routine violation of my boundaries, public humiliation in the office, a rapid turnover of administrative staff, a disregard of my opinion, limited opportunities for certain areas of very important professional growth, and a fear of saying the wrong thing. I experienced trauma during those years that I still deal with to this day. Now, don't get me wrong, she did some things right. She taught me some very valuable lessons on interactions with other attorneys and clients. She imparted to me the importance of hard work and the necessity of covering one's, we'll just say CYOA for today. There's a saying, you never learn things when they go your way. So during those years, I learned some very valuable lessons, both on things to do as a mentor and definitely things not to do. We will discuss the lessons I learned later on in the presentation. Why does mentorship matter? And again, we're going to be talking specifically about in the workplace. Your employees matter. To me, this is the most important and really what I'm most passionate about. Your organization's vision and purpose matter, and your services matter. So I'm just going to give you all a few seconds. If you can respond in the chat, just to maybe give me a 1 word or 2 words as to other reasons you think mentorship might be important in the workplace. Mental health, yes. Support. Work-life balance, yes, we're going to be talking about that. Sustainability, possibly turning into a sponsorship, that's interesting. Yes, properly guide employees to their goals. Confidence, those are all great things, and we're going to be talking about these things later on. Institutional knowledge, yes, that's great. Building a legacy. Your employees matter, bring different perspectives. Those are all great things, thank you. No organization can survive successfully and be healthy without its employees feeling valued. A survey from the American Psychological Association found that value at work was linked to better physical and mental health. Someone mentioned mental health earlier, as well as higher levels of engagement, satisfaction, and motivation. All the things that lead to healthy and productive relationships between an employer and an employee. Okay, we're going to be talking about a mentor's duties. So, mentors should provide, number 1, learned experiences, such as helping new employees get organized, how to set goals, or how to improve interpersonal relationships with coworkers. Secondly, knowledge. This includes the importance of your company's vision and mission statement. Why is that so important? Your company's vision and mission statement serve as a roadmap to your company and provide a concrete way for your employees to understand the meaning and purpose of your company. Research from Forbes shows that employees who find their company's vision to be both relatable and meaningful have engagement levels of 68%. On the other hand, employees who don't find their company's vision meaningful at all have an average engagement score of only 16%. These are employees who do not care about the future and success of their organization. They work primarily for a paycheck and are willing to do very little beyond what is absolutely required to keep their jobs. These are not the types of employees that we want to foster. The third duty of a mentor is to share connections. Who you know is very important in organization and life, right? We all know that. Connections are often the keys to enhancing the work that we do, whether it's for the purpose of partnering with other organizations with similar missions for the benefit of the people that you serve, or for the purpose of enhancing your employees' skills. The why of mentoring. The purpose of mentoring is to build your employees' job skills, competence, and independence. And I saw some of those in the answers above. So you all were right on that. How you deliver your skills, knowledge, and experience matters. So these are lessons that I learned from my first 16 years of employment at the Law Center. If you ask for input, genuinely listen and take what input that you have received into consideration. Think on it, mull it over. If you don't want input, don't ask for it. My current boss is the best at this that I have ever seen, and I strive to emulate her. If she asks for my input, I will give it to her. Sometimes she will take it. Sometimes she will take part of it, and sometimes she won't take it all. But what she does do that I value is she always explains her reasoning to me about why she decided to use my input or not. It makes me feel heard and as if my input was important, even if she doesn't rely on it. Number 2, give your employees freedom to grow in the areas they want to that fit both the needs of your office and that will be helpful to them. If your employee is interested in doing something outside of their job requirements that would enhance them as an employee and not detract from their work performance, encourage them. For example, early on in my job, I was allowed to take time off work and attend OSU OKC and to learn sign language. That was definitely not needed or required as a part of my job as a lawyer, but it definitely enhanced the work that I did, as I often and still do interact with individuals who are deaf. The third lesson I learned was ensure that your relationship is a safe place to be open and honest. Mentors should be willing to share both our own stories or stories from other people that they know that will help employees know how to handle failure and other difficult situations, handle workplace stress, because that's a real thing, and even how to handle success in a professional manner, because we are not born knowing how to handle success. The fourth lesson I learned was respect your employees' boundaries. For example, don't call them frequently before and after work and expect for them to answer. Respect their personal beliefs. And the fifth lesson that I learned that I'm going to discuss today is encourage balanced work and home life. And I saw that in the comments earlier too. And do it for real, not just lip service. If you want your employees to become a successful and valuable employee, it's important that your mentor has the right characteristics. If you have a mentor with the wrong characteristics, you will likely discourage new employees, which leads to high turnover and low company performance. None of us want that. I asked some of my employees if they would be willing to give me a list of good and bad traits from current and past jobs of their mentors without listing the job or the mentor. I didn't want to know if it was me or this job or another job. Here are some current themes, some common themes that I had from all of my employees. Traits to avoid: limited experience, therefore unable to explain the reason behind certain requirements. This actually goes back to the lesson we learned in the Karate Kid, that it is as important to teach someone the why behind the task as it is to teach them the task. Impatience. My employees explain that it makes them feel more anxious and therefore more likely to make mistakes. Number 3, a lack of solid deadlines and accountability. My employees stated that this made it hard for them to gauge their own work performance. Number 4, a lack of professionalism. Now, the examples I'm going to give you, I can't imagine anyone would make these, but these were some examples that were given to me by my staff. Making light of a person's disability, which is illegal, in addition to not professional, and making fun of or not respecting a person's belief or life choices. And fifthly, someone who treats others as beneath them or less than. Next slide. Traits to encourage. Some good qualities: active listening, pay attention, give your employees your undivided attention, acknowledge what they're telling you. Defer judgment, respond appropriately. This is what we talked about earlier. If you want their input, listen to it. Number 2, ask employees questions about how their work is going. Engage with them frequently. Ask if they have thoughts on how things might be done differently or more effectively. I like the last person, Amy Foskin, said, bring different perspectives. And I think that's great to seek that from our employees, because we don't know it all. Sometimes we hire people because we value their opinion, so we need to listen to it. Thirdly, make an effort to teach and make sure instructions are clearly understood. If someone comes to you with questions about work you've assigned to them, don't get upset with them for not understanding. This goes back to Mr. Miyagi's quote, "No bad student, only bad teacher." Sometimes it really is our fault. for not providing clear instructions in a manner that they understand. Instead, encourage them to bring questions to you so you know they're doing the work correctly. Let them know that it is better for them to ask for clarification rather than doing the project incorrectly. Number 4, set clear deadlines. Don't change deadlines unless it's absolutely necessary. My employees stated this leads to them feeling very overwhelmed and undervalued. And number 5, be a solid mix of professional and personal. Let your employees know that you care about them as in their personal lives. Allow them to talk with you about problems they are having outside of work that are affecting their work performance. Help them work through their issues so those issues have less of an impact on their job performance. So in summary, mentorship matters in the workplace because your employees are first and foremost people, and people matter. Your employees learn and implement your company's mission, and your employees provide valuable services to your clients, which in turn helps ensure the success and longevity of your client. That concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions if we have time for them.
Yes, definitely. We have some time for questions this afternoon. So as a reminder, if anybody would like to ask Joy a live question, you can raise your hand, and I'll know to unmute you in the chat. But while we're doing that, we'll start with this question from Felicia. And Felicia asks, what's a good way to source a new mentor? I know everyone is busy.
I'm just going to ask for clarification. When you say a way to source, are you meaning a way to give them resources or a way to find a good mentor? Can you clarify that, please? Okay, find a new mentor. So first of all, I think you have to find someone who is willing to do it and has a heart to do it. I think that's really key. Looking for those traits. And, I think in our office, we have been able to rearrange and some job duties, which make it the person who is interested in that and has those good characteristics that you're looking for. So some of their other duties can be maybe moved to another person to make room for them to do that, because it is a really valuable thing for your office to have. But I think first and foremost is having someone who really has a heart to do that.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.